Hello, my name is Thierry Migeotte. I'm here at the SPL headquarters in Germany to introduce to you the very new compressor, stereo bus compressor from SPL. This piece of equipment is unique and I will show you why. All the features that it includes is absolutely amazing. They had to think about it in a way that this compressor has become something like a Swiss Army knife where you can do so many things with one unit only. So we're going to start this demonstration by showing you the piece, what are the features on this piece of equipment, and what you can do with those features, in what case you will use some features together or others, and after that we will listen to some samples that will predict what's going to happen with this compressor, with the setup I choose on a specific track. So we'll start with the faceplate. On the left side, you will have the input knob. On top of it, you will have the attack time. On the right of it, you will have the threshold. Underneath the release time, you have a true bypass on the Venos. You have features such as airbase, which had harmonics to the bottom to compensate for the compression, or tape. With a tape, you will round out the top. Or you can basically bypass both of them. On the right side, on top, you will have a bias button. That bias will interact with the tube. The way the tube will do the compression will depend on the bias button, if you push it or not, and it will act slightly like a ratio. Underneath, you have diodes. 3 types: germanium is one, lead and silicone. Germanium is very warm. Lead and silicone have more speed, more headroom. Lead is the fastest, and the silicone will be a little brighter, a little grittier. So you have all those options already, but it's not done, it's not finished. You have filters on top. So you have linear, modern, vintage, focus and punch. So the filter section will give you different sounding options for your stereo bus mix or while tracking. On the bottom, you have the output, makeup gain, simply. So if you look at the faceplate, it's very easy to find your way through it. The best part of this is, how do I interact with every single piece of it? So I have all those options, and how do they work together? And that's the best part. So if I have a mix that is a little bit it has a little bit too much grid, too much high frequencies, I can say, okay, I'm going to work and maybe choose a vintage mode, or don't have to go there. I can use the tape option. All right, I can use rectifier on germanium diode, and all those things are going to basically make your mix a little softer. Of course, everything depends also on the way you use your threshold, the speed of the attack, and the release time. So, but in a few minutes, we're going to see all that through with samples, basically. So, what makes this compressor different from all compressors I've used in my entire life? And believe me, 25 years of career, I've used a lot of compressors. That with this piece, you can basically handle pretty much everything, either for mastering, stereo bus, but also for tracking. Tracking a stereo piece, tracking a vocal, a single instrument, tracking bass, overheads on drums. You can also make this not only on a mixed bus, but on a drum bus. You can use the compressor on a drum bus. Fantastic. You can use it on basically background vocals as a stereo compressor, or simply as a mono compressor on a bass or a lead guitar. Everything is possible. This box is not just a compressor. It's a tone box and a compressor. It's very, very, very smartly designed. So I can't wait to have you listen to what's happening with this piece. So now let's have fun. Let's listen to what this piece of gear has to offer. We're going to start with transparent compression, okay? So here's a track before compression, and here The attack is it's not going to kill my transients, and the release time is very fast. I'm going to keep attack time and release time the same for every single sample. The input's going to stay the same, the threshold, I might play with it, but I'm going to play with the bias button. I'm going to show you what's happening if I touch this or this feature, and you're going to hear it right after. All right, let's start simply with a transparent as possible of a compression. So here's the uncompressed track, and then once I press, I put it on and you will hear the difference. It's very transparent, a little more punchy, but very transparent. Let's go for it.
I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody but him. Don't tell nobody what you do with your man. Or just keep it to yourself, girl. No, cause as soon as you turn your head, she'll try to take your man, girl. She'll be interested in her eyes.
See here, we were a little punchy, but very transparent. We didn't change much within the mix. Now, if I want this same track and say, well, I want a little more grit out of it, but without touching anything else. Well, let's try with the bias button. Let's do it.
I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody but him. Don't tell nobody what you do with your man. Or just keep it to yourself, girl. No, cause as soon as you turn your head, she'll try to take your man, girl. She'll be interested in her eyes. Believe me when I tell you, girl. Keep it to yourself.
So you hear high frequency coming up a little bit. It's a little more gritty, a little more presence. Now, if I want this mix to be a little warmer and say, okay, I want to take some of those frequencies down a little bit. So I'm going to change basically the rectifier. I'm going to go on the diode that's germanium, the warmest of all. Also, I'm going to put it on vintage filter, and let's see what we get with that.
I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody but him. Don't tell nobody what you do with your man. Or just keep it to yourself, girl. No, cause as soon as you turn your head, she'll try to take your man, girl. She'll be interested in her eyes. Believe me when I tell you, girl. Keep it to yourself.
It's subtle, but it's wonderful. So now I want something punchier and something with a little more dynamic, something a little more you can dance on a little more and more energy. So for more energy, I'm going to change the rectifier again, okay? And I'm going to go, let's say, for the punch mode, all right? I'm going to put air bass on, so I'm going to add harmonics there. Let's see what's happening here. So first we'll start with that bias, and then we'll put the bias option on. Well, let's start with that bias on that part.
I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody but him. Don't tell nobody what you do with your man. Or just keep it to yourself, girl. Cause as soon as you turn your head, she'll try to take your man, girl. She'll be interested in her eyes. Believe me when I tell you, girl. Keep it to yourself, girl. Keep it to yourself, girl.
So you can hear the bass is a little more present with a little more sustain with those harmonics. What you have as well is the vocals come up, and all the high frequencies are a little more edgy, a little more present, and it's not pumping, but you have more energy in the mix. And I think that's very, very, very nice. Now we're going to play the same part, but we're going to play with the bias button. So you can see the interaction with the bias button and with the tubes of the compressor and see what's happening, okay?
I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody but him. Don't tell nobody what you do with your man. Or just keep it to yourself, girl. Cause as soon as you turn your head, she'll try to take your man, girl. She'll be interested in her eyes. Believe me when I tell you, girl. Keep it to yourself.
See, in this case, we added grit, you know, a little grit to the mix. We add already an extra high frequencies feel, but then this adds a little more, but it still stays natural. It's still pleasant, and that's a very important part. Let's go now to focus mode. Let's take, keep the air bass on, because I love that feature. Let's take bias down, and let's see what's going on compared to the punch, okay? So basically what I'm gonna do during the listening with the compressor on, I'm gonna switch between punch and focus. So now we're on the focus mode. Let's listen to the raw track.
I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody but him. Don't tell nobody what you do with your man. Or just keep it to yourself, girl. No, cause as soon as you turn your head, she'll try to take your word, girl. She'll be interested in him with her eyes. Believe me when I tell you, girl. Keep it to yourself, girl. Keep it to yourself, girl. Don't tell nobody what you do with your man. Just keep it to yourself, girl. Cause as soon as you turn your...
So you have almost as much punch, but it's a little more focused, basically, and it's not as wide. It's not as wide. So that is very interesting. Depending on the tracks you're going to use, you're going to prefer one or the other option. It really depends on the material you're working on, whether it's electronic music, pop, rock, country music, rap music, R&B. Everything will be determined by the type of track you're working on, the type of instruments you're going to be working with. Or I'm showing all those options now. I want to show you what it does on vocal. That's why I keep this part where you have about 10 seconds of vocals only, almost, and how it lifts the vocal. If I go to germanium diode, okay, and I'm going to use, I'm going to go no air bass, no tape right now, and I'm going to take the vintage option on the filters. What you're going to hear is the vocal are going to come not as bright, not as present, a little down. So if you have a mix where vocals are a little bit on the high mids and it's a little bit edgy, these are the right options to use. So let's listen without compression, and after that with compression. Let's do it.
I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody but him. I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody but him. Don't tell nobody what you...
As present, but a little warmer. The high mids are a little calmed down. And but now we're going to work on the lift on those vocals. And for lift, we're going to use LED diode. We're going to go to focus, which I love for that. That's it. So let's do it. And we're going to add, if we want some grids, that's on the vocal, you will hear when I use the bias knob, what it's going to do to those vocal tracks as well. Uncompressed.
I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody. I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody. But I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody. I know that you're in love. Don't tell it to nobody. But
So imagine when you record vocals, what you can do with this. And if you have a track where vocals are a little too aggressive, and at mastering or on the stereo bus, you want to correct that, mostly at mastering. If it's on the stereo bus, you can do that on your mixing board, on your console. But what you can do at mastering to correct the presence of those vocals, either you don't have enough or you have too much. And with this compressor, you really can dial that in. Either you want less or you want more. And it's always very defined and it's subtle, but it makes a big difference. So here we are. We've been through this compressor, what it can do, why it can do that, with all the features that it has. But why would you need this compressor? Well, First of all, if you are a small studio, you don't have the money to buy 10 compressors, this should be on your short list, because this can solve so many problems right at recording, but also at mixing and at mastering. So this compressor should be on your short list. It does so many more things that other compressors can't do. Otherwise you would need 3 on one brand, 10 of another. This compressor can do it all, seriously can do it all. Now, for people who have big studios and can buy compressors, why would you need such a piece of equipment? Because this piece of equipment is no-brainer. There are so many things you can envision. You know what you want out of a track, the way it should sound, and you know how this compressor works. You see, before I did this demo, I learned this compressor. I could tell you ahead of time what was going to happen while I was doing this or this, using this feature or that one or this option. What would it do? I knew it. So if you envision the sound as a professional that you want, and you know this piece, my God, you can do miracles with this thing. This thing is crazy. It's insane. But especially for people who cannot afford to have 10 compressors, this one will do the trick, will do the job every single time. I'm not here to sell a compressor. I've been using SPL equipment since early 2000. I had, a lot of their pieces. I know their equipment. I was able to tell you what was going to happen setting up the compressor. Not trying it and say, oh, maybe that's what I want here, or maybe that's what I want there. And this is also one thing about this compressor. It's so precise with so many options you can put together. It's insane. So it's a creative tool. It's a tone tool, and it's a compressor. It's so many things at the same time. I'm just amazed. It's a great piece of gear.